What if I told you that despite your best efforts to preach sound doctrine, many in your church might still be embracing prosperity gospel beliefs? That's what the latest research from Lifeway has revealed, that there's really a growing divide between what pastors teach and what the people that come to your church actually believe, particularly about money and blessings and faith. And we're going to talk about that today right here on the Healthy Church Staff Podcast. My name's Todd Rhodes, one of the co-founders over at chemistrystaffingcom. And today we're going to talk about, could this gap be undermining the spiritual health of our churches? And according to this new Lifeway study, and there will be a link to that in the comments as well, this very well could be the case. And let's start here. The pastoral stance against prosperity theology. This was a 2025, so it's brand new Lifeway research study. And here's what they found. The vast majority of Protestant pastors reject prosperity gospel teachings. Specifically, 90% disagree with that whole notion that individuals need to perform specific actions to receive these material blessings from God. And 74% actually strongly disagree with that premise. And on top of that, 79%, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but this is really interesting stuff. 79% of pastors refute the idea that increased giving guarantees financial rewards. So that's really what the prosperity gospel is. So what Lifeway found was that the collective commitment to a theology centered on grace rather than transactional faith is still, in the vast majority of our churches, is still being taught this anti-prosperity gospel message. Okay, but here's the deal. There is in our churches, not from pastors, not from those that are preaching and teaching, but among those people that attend churches, there's a growing acceptance of the prosperity gospel. In 2022, Lifeway did a study that revealed that prosperity gospel beliefs are gaining traction. Again, this was 2022, so this was 3 years ago. But 52 believe that their church teaches believe that their church teaches that giving more money will result in God's blessing. And that's up from 38% in 2017. So just 5 years, that number of people, when they ask, does your church teach this? It went up from 38% to over half, 52%. In 2022 said, yeah, we believe that our church teaches that if we give more money, we'll have more blessings. And again, I'm giving you a lot of numbers, but 76% of churchgoers think that God desires their financial prosperity. And that's a huge increase as well. So there seems to be this growing acceptance that highlights a critical area where our church beliefs, the people that attend your services on a Sunday morning or a Saturday night, there's a gap between what they believe and what the church actually teaches and believes, but there's also a gap between what they believe and what they think your church actually teaches and believes. I think this is fascinating. So that leads me to my next point, and it highlights this. There's a growing discrepancy between the pulpit and the pew. Okay, so this significant gap between maybe pastoral intent, can we call it that, and understanding of the people that attend could suggest that there's either a miscommunication or a lack of clarity in how we're conveying these theological positions. Okay, while pastors, for the most part, as we started, most pastors do not endorse the prosperity theology. Many church people, attenders, perceive or assume that it's in there somewhere in the church's doctrine. And that's where the disconnect happens. And that's where the confusion comes. That's where some of the spiritual disillusionment happens among people at our church. So the prosperity gospel often emphasizes this material wealth as a sign of God's favor, which distorts the true message of the gospel. And it can lead people that attend your church to equate faithfulness with financial gain. And that is going to do some, potentially at least, some spiritual harm when those material blessings don't materialize. So these teachings can also kind of underline your church's witness by promoting a transactional view of God's grace. Now, again, this is not something that we're intending as church leaders, but it's the culture. It's like what people just believe. And they get this on TV from prosperity preachers and those kind of things as well. So there's a lot of different influences that are different influencers that are influencing people. And a lot of people just think, hey, if I give more, God's going to be better to me. If I do this, God's going to bless me. Those kind of things are creeping in more than what you know, according to this Lifeway study in your church. Okay, so given these findings, what do we do? I think one of the things is you just have to proactively address these misconceptions, right? We're doing a series at my church right now I think it's called I Said This, You Heard That. And that's exactly what's happening here. You may be preaching things that do not have anything to do with the prosperity gospel, but that's not what people are hearing. Just by emphasizing and even concentrating at times a biblically sound understanding of generosity and of blessings and of the nature of God's promises, we can help guide and inform and educate those people that are coming so that they can have a more authentic faith experience. Now, that's going to involve being really intentional with some clear and constant teaching that counters this prosperity gospel narrative that's so prevalent in our culture and in our churches. So what are you going to do with this? You might be surprised how the people in your church feel about this. So maybe the first thing you need to do is just ask some people what they're feeling in this area. Maybe do a little, I'm not saying a church-wide survey. As you're talking to people in your congregation, maybe some of those people, maybe break them into groups, those that are highly committed, highly valued volunteers. Maybe it's people that attend every week but aren't as involved. Maybe it's people that have just started attending. What are they thinking? And then the second question is, how much am I trying to communicate exactly what our church believes about generosity? Because that's really vitally important as well. If you're not intentional about it, you're really allowing these outside influences to have more influence in the area of generosity in your church than what you do. Okay? I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear your comments. You can reach out to me anytime, podcast@chemistrystaffing.com. If there's any way, we have a couple people on our team that kind of specialize in generosity, and if you want to pick their brains, I'd love to put you in contact with them. Or if there's any way that I can help your church or you during any kind of type of transition or any kind of healthy church staff programs, I would love to talk with you and see if there's any way that we can work together and partner together. You can reach out to me anytime. podcast@chemistrystaffing.com. All right, thanks so much. I'm Todd Rhodes. This is the Healthy Church Staff Podcast, and we're here every Monday through Friday for hopefully some encouragement specifically for you and your church staff. Have a great day.